Let's go inside Beaver Dam High School athletics and activities. Been a couple weeks since we caught up with Director of Athletics and Activities Ryan Gerber over at BDHS, but glad to be able to hook up today as we're kind of a third into the season, Ryan, but we've been pushing stuff back because of the weather. Can I still say we're just getting started? Is that okay?
Yeah, go right ahead. It's still early in the season, so yeah, go right ahead.
Because you look at things, you've had so many postponements moving around, but teams have gotten games in. It's just been very uncomfortable for the fans and the players, right? Playing in some sub-zero temperatures.
Less than ideal conditions. Yeah, we've been very fortunate to have gotten games in, particularly with softball. I know a lot of teams in the conference have scrambled and canceled things or moved things to Wednesdays. We haven't had to, but at the same time, we've played in some less than desirable conditions.
I had somebody ask me because one of the paper down in Madison wrote an article about how the Big Eight has a rule that if it's below 40 degrees real feel, they don't play. That is not a Badger Large rule, is it?
No. And it's funny you mentioned that because I did have a conversation with some of those ADs about that because we had some games play. Yeah, I think the big thing when we talk about the ball and stick teams, bats are rated for about 40 degrees or higher. So once you get below 40 degrees, you're really putting your equipment, which is a sizable investment, in jeopardy there. So I think that's where that comes from. I think what we oftentimes forget, whether it's the winter or the spring, is we live in Wisconsin, and there was a time when, we got a lot more snow and it was cold a lot more. And so that's part of growing up in Wisconsin and playing an outdoor sport is you're going to have less than desirable conditions. You're also going to have wonderful conditions right around the corner. So it is part of that, but I'll also say that's why I coach an indoor sport.
That's exactly it. Even the hockey parents are always like, we always know it's going to be cold in a hockey rink. It's not going to be wind and raining, right?
Yeah, especially when you go down to Beloit and it's open air. So you just deal with the conditions that you met. A lot of these baseball and softball parents, they'll be hanging around Diamonds when it's 95 degrees out this summer in August. So, you get the extremes of it.
It all evens out. Well, speaking of the weather, hasn't been a factor for Nate Wilkie's squad. The Beaver Dam baseball team is off to a pretty hot start this year, including a game last night. They won the home opener against DeForest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they knew they could pitch, and certainly they've gotten great pitching, especially behind the arms of Jeffrey Freund, who had a wonderful summer season last year in the Legion, and Eli Bryan, who's committed to Kent State. And I should also mention Jeffrey also is committed to River Falls for next year. So they knew they were going to get great pitching. They've got about 4 or 5 arms on that team that can throw in the low 80s. So that's definitely a benefit. As long as they locate, they're going to be in position to win games. What they weren't sure of, and really what hasn't been there the last couple of years, is the bats. They've really struggled to score. But to this point, that hasn't been an issue. They've outscored opponents 57-13 thus far in the early part of the year. The last 2 games actually go back to the last 3 games. They played St. Thomas More, won 10-2, played Adams Friendship, won 18-4. And DeForest, they just had the conference home opener and won 11-1. So the offense is getting it done, and they've been doing it a number of different ways. They've hit the long ball. They've got timely hitting. They've played a little bit small ball and moved people around. So they're getting contributions from pretty much everyone. The one I would definitely point out, though, is Zach Shave. Zach has had a great year so far. He ended the year last season in baseball, one of their top hitters, had a wonderful football and hockey season this year, so 3-sport athlete, and he's raking right now. I think he had a grand slam 2 nights ago, and then last night against DeForest was 4 for 4. So he's really having a nice start to his season, so hopefully they keep that going.
Yeah, and hopefully he can represent. I'm a UW Oshkosh grad. He's going to play baseball there, and we'll say go Titans right there, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. We're going to be having our senior signing day, our collegiate signing day coming up here, and there's quite a few players that are going to be participating in baseball next year at the colleges of their choice.
And where actually the plan is right now, Corey and Waller are going to be at the high school, and we will air that live on Daily Dodge TV right around 2:30 next Wednesday. So that should be fun.
Yeah, we've really made a tradition out of that the last few years, bringing it all together in the auditorium. It's a really nice environment. We do it during the school day so that their peers, their teammates can be there. So we get through the ceremony with each individual signing by themselves. And then at the end of the ceremony, with the time that's remaining, we take team pictures. And it's just a really special environment. This stuff doesn't happen everywhere. And it's just great for families and for teams. So make sure you check out the Daily Dodge on Wednesday next week about 2:30, or catch it on the replay.
Sounds good there. It's going to be a fun time. Corey and Wally are excited, and I'll be out there doing that as well. So softball team, Quinn Heinz's squad, also off to a solid start this year on the diamond.
Yeah, the big question for them is the opposite of baseball, where baseball knew they had a lot of pitching. On the softball side, the question was really, how do you replace Gabby Fakes and Riley Zarnecki? The easy answer is you don't. Those were two very special talents. So how do you plug that hole and get pitching to the point where you can play in this very tough Badger Conference? So far, they have. Addie Damon's been great in the circle. She really emerged this year as their number one. She pitched a little bit last year, but when you got players like Gabby and Riley, you're really going with a two-horse rotation there. Addie got in a little bit, and she's done a really nice job this year. She's getting some help from Emma Julka and a couple of the other players on the team, but it's really been Addie really locking down that spot. The big thing for the softball team is they're scoring runs, just like the baseball team. So if you're into offense, check out our baseball softball team. They played last night, beating Milton 15-13 here at home. Milton also just a very traditionally strong program, but they're outscoring opponents right now 95-52 on the season. So a fun team to watch. They move things around. Coach Hines is doing a great job taking over for Abby and keeping that high level of expectation and winning going with this program. So it'll be fun to watch. Obviously there's some big games coming, but the big looming one is going to be on 4/25 when they play their first of two games against Watertown. So those are always big games because of obviously the rivalry between the two communities. But these two programs, the Watertown and Beaver Dam programs, have really gone eye to eye, nose to nose for that conference title each year.
Yeah, so it's been fun to watch the softball team. Corey and Wally were at the baseball diamond last night, dressed like they were in northern Alaska, and then you had Mike Johnson and Aiden Voigt out there. Mike had his Letterman's jacket on, and I think that was it. And Aiden had a sweatshirt.
It was awesome to see both those streams going. It was great to hear Mike doing the play-by-play at the softball. Again, just two very fun teams to watch. Again, the weather is spring in Wisconsin, but it's just we're getting a lot of offense out of those two programs, and it's just a lot of fun to watch.
Inside Beaver Dam High School Athletics and Activities with Ryan Gerber here on ESPN Beaver Dam. Beaver Dam girls soccer team, a mixture of some veteran talent and some youth. Brandy Paredes' squad off to a 3-1 start. They played 7 games in like a week and a day, Ryan, but they're showing improvement this year on the pitch.
Yeah, I think the improvement is very noticeable, and they've certainly raised their level. The one thing I really appreciate about Coach Paredes is she has very high expectations for her program, and she knows where she wants to take this team. It's just about building those ball skills and getting the team to level up to the conference, because our conference is a very strong conference right around the Madison area, where soccer is a very solid sport. So we've retooled in our scheduling, we've retooled in our players, and so far they're playing well. Right now they're outscoring opponents 17-13. That varsity quad that they had over the weekend kind of throws some of those numbers off, because they in their first round matchup they tied Beloit Memorial 0-0, and it sounds like they had quite a few opportunities to score that just couldn't get past the goalie. And then their second game they lost 1-0 against Madison Country Day, kind of the same thing, a lot of packing in defensively. Once they were able to run their offense and really get out and spread out in that third round of that quad last week, and they played Clinton and won 6-0. So again, this is a team that has the ability to score. In the past, they've had one or two scoring options up front. They're developing more and more. Shea Ashley's still been a really important player for them. Brenna Rhodes, who we talked at length about during the hockey season, has been a big weapon for them coming up this year. So, they're developing that program, and for them to be 3-1 thus far is encouraging. They've got some definite winnable games on their schedule. So again, another program that's slowly building. Again, we're not going to make giant leaps forward, right? We'd all love that, but what we're looking for is sustained development, and I really believe that Coach Paredes is doing that. And hats off to her program and the work that they've put in over the off season.
Yeah, they've scored more goals this year already than they scored the entire season last year. Audrey Gonzalez has a few goals, Natalia Castillo has some goals, and Emily Beal even got on the field against Clinton and scored a goal for the Golden Beavers. So again, you're seeing improvement. Even DeForest, that was an 8-0 game last year. They were right at 1-2-0 in the second half and gave up a couple late. And they got Slinger tomorrow night, and Slinger's a team that's that's a game they can go on the road, and as long as they run what they're supposed to run, that's a winnable game for them.
Yeah, you look at their next three opponents. Like you said, they can play with and beat Slinger if they come ready to go, and then they have a conference matchup with Fort Atkinson, which they've split that series the last couple of years, and then they've got Portage here at home, which was a reschedule from later. So if they get things going, they've got three very winnable games coming up. As you mentioned, they've scored more goals this year than they have the entire last year. It's very difficult when you're relying on winning 1-0 games and playing tough defense. When you're able to give yourself some breathing room and take the offense to the opponent, that certainly makes things a little bit easier. And so, again, I'm very encouraged by the early returns. Yes, you would love to see that record a little bit better, but again, they're playing well. Just watching offensively, they're able to move the ball so much quicker, so much better. Their passing is crisper. They're getting much better drives up the field. So again, this is a team that's taken a step. We'll see if they continue to take that step as the season goes on.
Track and field, Ryan, they're scheduled to have an outdoor meet on Thursday afternoon. Obviously, Ma Nature could play a role in that, but Mike Price's squad continues to work hard, and let's hope we can get an event going on Thursday here.
Yeah, and I should mention, so this is the annual Dodge County Invite, or DCI, and it's been going on for a very, very long time, going back to the days of Tom Johnson leading the program. This is a tournament that only has Dodge County teams, hence the name, and now rotates between our school, Waupun, and Horicon annually. It used to be just here every year. So this is a big time, important event for our community and for our region. And we're hoping to be able to run that event. Unfortunately, just looking at the weather, that might throw a wrench into the mix, but hopefully we're able to overcome that. But I got to say, Coach Price came in this year taking over for Coach Helgamo, who I admire, and I think she's done a great job over the years. They've really been able to build numbers and really get a lot of our fall athletes that maybe weren't out in the past, getting them on. There's a definite difference of expectation with a lot of our athletes in events, and I think that's going to be good. Also, there's a lot of new coaches on this team. So there's a renewed sense of energy and vigor with this program. I think there's a high level of expectation. And when I talk to Coach Price, he knows where he wants to take this. We don't want to just have a track program here. He wants to excel and really have a number of kids at the state tournament each and every year. And I'm, as a former coach, I love to hear that. And I'm excited about his vision. So, the first step was building numbers. He's got about 85 kids out. The next step is developing those numbers into viable track athletes. And then, we'll see what happens when we get to the end of May when we host the WI Regional here.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch track and getting to host a regional as well. And just be Mother Nature. Watching track is much better when it's like 75 degrees out. It's not raining. And
it's beautiful when it's a nice day and you don't have to worry about rain dropping on you. We've had, when I was at a previous location, we had snow at one point. So yeah, track's a lot more fun when it's nice out.
Well, Coach Price even said in the meeting with the kids in the preseason, though, this is Wisconsin. Have your warm gear because we're not going to hide inside if the weather's doable. We're going to go out and practice outside in the cold too. So I like that as well, right? Because you never know what you're going to get.
Right, and as soon as our indoor season was over, they were outside, and they've been outside. They haven't come back in. So again, you got to get used to that stuff. And again, I think just over time, we as a society have just we don't have the tolerance for that anymore. And I think we need to get back to that. Again, we live in Wisconsin. It gets cold here. The weather isn't great. You want perfect conditions, you move out west. Now try finding water while you're out there. But, like this is what it is. And that's what makes us tougher here in the Midwest. So I think we got to get back to that.
We haven't talked about the indoor season too much, but if people go back and search just indoor track and dailydodge.com, we had a bunch of student athletes compete at what's the quote state indoor meet in Whitewater, I should say.
Yeah.
And they can go back and see those results. Congratulations to a bunch of our student athletes there. Hey, I also get excited getting the tennis results because the boys tennis team has picked up some victories here today early in the year.
Yeah, so they've had they've had 11 competitions or 11 meets so far. Right now they're 3-8, but that number is a little deceiving. Yeah. They opened up their season out in McGuanago, and they faced some pretty tough teams right off the bat. They were matched up against Wauwatosa East and McGuanago, who are perennial powers every year, and they held their own. Right now, the boys track team has about 18 guys out for the team right now, and typically they're strongest. The tradition here is strongest in the doubles, but this year it's their singles that are really tough. Riley Doyle has been really, really good, and he's put in a lot of effort in the off season. He's making his debut this year in the one spot, in the one singles, and you know what? Even in the matchups that he's lost, they're close. He's fighting. I was out at tennis a couple weeks ago watching their match against DeForest, and he's a lot of fun to watch. He really can bring the heat on his serves, and he moves around a lot, and he's intense. He's not yelling at himself like John McEnroe or anything, but you can see the intensity out there, and a lot of fun to watch. And for any of the people listening, tennis is one of those things where if you can zero in and just watch one guy or one pairing and you just get into it, it's a lot of fun. We don't charge for it. It's right here at the tennis court, so stop on by. There's plenty of room for everybody when we have meets, so come on out. Check out our schedule. We'll have a home duel next on April 22nd. So come on out for that. It should be a good time. But I like our tennis program. Coach Damon does a really nice job. He was an assistant coach at Edgewood for 3 or 4 state title runs there. So he knows what it takes to develop kids. I know he and Coach Radig on the girls' side are doing a lot to develop a feeder program in the youth level. So again, I think this is a program that they've traditionally done well. They traditionally have an opportunity to get kids to the state tournament. They've performed well so far. They've beaten DeForest twice this year, which I love to see. So we're just going to keep on going.
Ryan, you're a DeForest grad, if people don't know, right?
I am a DeForest grad.
Hey, Coach Popovich's golf team, they're getting some action underway as well. They're finally getting going. Yeah,
so that's another one. They got, so golf starts late, just like tennis. So they've had a couple of events under their belt. I will say this: they have gone to a Badger Conference mini meet, and I'll tell you what that is. They take all of the 8 Badger large schools, they come together for a meet. They're calling that a mini meet rather than an invite. I think you're splitting hairs there a little bit, but at that one they took 7th out of 8th. Now you might be saying, well, geez, they were second to last, and yeah, they were. They beat Watertown, but the difference between where they were and 6th place is actually quite small. You got to remember the program that Coach Popovich took over, they were finishing at the bottom of these things consistently. And by mid-year last year, they were fighting for that 6th and 5th spot. The Badger Conference, if you don't know, in golf is absolutely loaded. And I'm talking teams bringing in freshmen that are at the top of the rankings in Wisconsin for youth players. It's a beast of a conference between what Fort Atkinson's got, what Waunakee's got, what DeForest has got, what Milton had last year. So, our strategy is, again, we're just building numbers. I believe Coach Popovich had close to 30 boys come out for golf, which is amazing. He's got a lot of young freshmen that are showing a lot of promise. I know Lucas Longseth, who's a freshman who's also playing baseball this year, broke through the varsity lineup over the weekend when they were at the Washington County Invite. Ashton Halfman's having a real nice season so far again. This is a team with Coach Popovich's development, as well as Coach Nortman and Coach Chase. This is a program that improved leaps and bounds last year. I would expect nothing less this year. And again, we're really fighting for that 4, 5, 6 spot in the conference. Just, again, how tough the conference is, but again, how we want to just keep progressing, taking those little steps. I think the next couple of years, you're going to see a real big jump in our program.
Excellent stuff. Again, there's so much stuff going on across the realm of athletics. Just looking at, obviously, weather permitting, our Daily Dodge TV schedule. Coming up next Tuesday, we'll have Milton and Beaver Dam baseball scheduled on Daily Dodge TV and 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam. And next Thursday, the 24th, we'll have that reload of a Beaver Dam girls soccer in Portage on Daily Dodge TV exclusive. People can check out the website on the sports tab at dailydodge.com to see what games we are broadcasting, subject to change and weather, Ryan. But if people are looking to find out what's going on in Beaver Dam High School athletics, what's the best venue to go?
They can go to our website and check out our public calendar. You can go to badgerconference.org and select Beaver Dam, do that as well. We got a ton of events coming up between now and the end of the school year, between District Jazz Fest coming up, the WBEV Career Fair coming up next week, Collegiate Signing Day. We've got Wall of Fame coming up. We've got marching band. We've got concerts galore. And before you know it, it'll be graduation. So get on the website, go to badgerconference.org, click on Beaver Dam. We've got a ton of stuff going on. We'd love to see you around the fields. We'd love to see you in the auditorium. We'd love to see you at the high school.
Yeah, I was going to mention, too, because I had somebody, people are looking for rosters at some of these events. If you go to, it's badgerconference.net, right? And
badgerconference.net, yeah.
Yeah, and if you click on, there's info, there's an info tab. You scroll down, it says rosters. You can find rosters to pretty much any sport in the Badger Conference and print them off and bring them to the game with you.
Yeah, and that's something too. We've been putting up QR codes at our facilities. So if you have everyone with a fairly new phone has a QR code reader. If you don't know how to use it, just let one of us know and we'll help you out. And I know that's digital on your phone, and some people are like, gosh, I'd just like to be off my phone. But that's kind of another option as we have at our facility. So let us know if you need any help with the rosters. We can help you out with that.
Ryan, I appreciate all you do, and I guess we will chat again hopefully next week with another edition of Inside Beaver Dam High School Athletics and Activities on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.